good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unlocked. I am your show host today. My name's Tracy Wilson, and thanks so much for being here with me. Now, look, today we're going to have a pretty cool show because I'm going to teach you guys how to create 12 months worth of content in just 60 minutes. Well, at least get all the ideas and the concepts of what you're going to be talking about for the next 12 months, at least organized and down and ready to go so that you don't have to ever think about what the heck am I going to say in my blog, on my show, in my Facebook Lives, or any other material, or even on Facebook, any other material that you are looking to create. So I want to say a big shout out first to one of our viewers. So Tammy Murphy inspired today's show. She asked me a couple of weeks ago, Trace, those shows that you do, how do you come up with all the ideas and the concepts that you are going to talk about? And I was like, that's a great topic for a show. And I thought, I also mentioned in a couple of shows ago that I would tell you guys exactly how I do it. And that is my intention for today. So if you are somebody who is like, I want to create content online, I want to be able to do it really well, but I struggle, I don't know what I should be talking about. I, get to the morning of and think, I had this list of things I was going to talk about, and now I don't know what I'm going to, I don't know what content to speak about today. So if that's you, hang around because today's show is really going to help you do that. And I'm going to give you some very practical tools and resources that will enable you to sit down and create out your content map and enable you to come up with content for the next 12 months. So hang about. For you guys who are with me for the first time, welcome to the show. This is a show where, I talk about all sorts of things, business, life, family, and just the sorts of things that will enable you to live your life unlocked. So today's show clearly is a business topic, but I know that, this topic can also cause people some anxiety when they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to talk about. So the way in which you interact with me, because this is a live show, none of this is cut. I'm just on here and I'm just going to talk like it is. So you're either watching me in Facebook right now inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life, or maybe on YouTube, or even listening to the podcast. So if you want to see this show live, then I would highly recommend you get yourself on over to Facebook, find the group that is Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life, and you'll get to, network and listen to a whole bunch of people who run different shows on topics that will help you thrive in business, family, and life, and also the great community that we have there too. So get your butt on over to Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life in Facebook. Also, if you want to chat with me, you can absolutely do that today. So if you're watching right now and you're in Facebook or even on YouTube, you can type comments down below. I will get them here in the studio and I will be able to answer any questions that you have. So please make sure that you do that. And if you're listening to the podcast, obviously put your comments in and I'll circle back around and I'll answer any of them that you have as time goes on. So let's get the show on the road. The first thing I want to talk about is like our mindset. So whenever we're moving into trying to create stuff, particularly when you're trying to create things from a creative perspective, that requires, a certain level of brain power and a certain level of, energy and perspective when we're moving into that space. And you need to really have this mindset that, it's possible, that there are lots of ideas available, and they are available to me everywhere. So the first thing I want you guys to think about is this. There are content ideas everywhere. That is the very first thing that we need to be, sort of the mindset that we need to have when we're creating our content is not that, oh my God, I've only got to think about the things that are in my head right now, and that's all I've got, and my buckets is running dry. The way that we need to look at this is that there is content ideas and opportunities everywhere you look. So that is step number one, is having that mindset. Number two is this. The next one is my knowledge bank is absolutely full, and that there is always more where that came from. So, those two mantras are the things that we need to be moving forward with when we're looking at creating our own content, because when you look at them from that perspective, the energy will flow, the content ideas will just come to you, and just you've got to be open and available and to allow that to happen. So those are the first two things I would say before you create any content, is to have that mindset. So with that in mind, I'm just just going to shut those two off. Those are quotables, by the way. So if you want to use them and share them out, you can take them. They'll be in our group a little bit later. You'll be able to use them and share them out to your audience if you so wish to. So I'm seeing a bunch of you guys join me on this morning. Hi, MJ, Scott, Vicky, Robin. Who else we got here? I've got some Facebook user on here. I'm not sure who you are, and few. So thanks for joining. So let's get stuck into this. Like I said, the first thing we've got to do is all about mindset. It's like having that the understanding that content is unlimited. We have an unlimited amount of brain power and content available to us. It is everywhere we look, and we just need to have our eyes open, ready to identify where there is an opportunity. And like I did when Tammy Murphy said to me, Trace, how do you create content? How do you just jump on that show and just talk about different topics? Well, I very much start with that in mind, as I come at it from a point of view of that, today is not the day that my bucket is full. I'm going to continually be able to fill that. I have an unlimited source of ideas and content and information, and I will just allow that to flow. So you definitely want to come at it from that perspective. Okay, so here's what I do. So like I said, I'm going to give you very practical steps. So you can do one of two things. You can not have a pen and paper and wait till the very end when I give you a freebie, like I do often with the shows. Or better still, because we know that if you take notes, that you are more likely to have a better result and you'll retain the information, to grab yourself a pen and paper and just start noting down the things that I'm talking about. And then couple that with the information that I provide you with later on in the show or later on today inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life. There will be a free giveaway in there which will step out how you do this, and it will be a workbook that you can start utilizing to help you create this 12 months worth of content. Okay, so let's kind of firstly start with, why do we want to do this? Well, we want to make sure that when we've got a message to share, or where, particularly in business, you can be a business operator who has a high street store. And as we know, when we have a high street store, we're reliant on the foot traffic that walks past. But in this current times, we have a lot of those people have had to really shift their perspective and thinking about, getting themselves online. And like Henry Kaminsky said a couple of shows ago, he said there was once upon a time where being online was a nicety, or it was a nice to have. Now it's a necessity. So for us to get our message out and to get our products and our services out to a wider market, we have to embrace the online space and get ourselves to a point where we feel really comfortable to stand up and stand firm and stand out in this world of business. And by doing so means that you're going to have to find it within you, unlock the door that gives you the courage to be able to get out there and actually speak about what you are all about. And I'm going to talk about a number of different ways in which you can do that, different platforms. So of course, I've chosen this particular style of platform to engage with my audience and engage with you guys and you in particular. But you might not feel comfortable in doing this. So don't fear. I'm going to give you some other alternatives that will also enable you to stand out amongst the crowd, but in a way that feels very comfortable to you. So just hang about and I will make sure that I do that. So like I said, we want to make sure that we're getting ourselves out there and we're standing out in the crowd. What I also want to give you today is this process is to help you to save some time, because I don't want you in a space where you're spinning your wheels, wondering what the heck am I going to talk about? Is this going to really, hit the market, et cetera, et cetera? I want to make sure that I save you some time in doing this. We're also going to sort of explore some of the problems and how you can avoid them, and then also knowing what makes engaging content and learning how to become a better content creator. So some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today is going to help you do all of these things, and then also provide you with content ideas so that you don't get content, you don't get that hit the wall and find yourself in content block. And like I said, you're also going to create yourself a roadmap or a calendar that is going to help you create this 12 months worth of content in just 60 minutes when you sit down either this afternoon or sometime this week to do so. So Let me know. Does that sound good? Is that something that you guys, are keen to hear? Would it be helpful to you if you had a system and a process that helped you create your content ideas for the next 12 months in just 60 minutes? If you could do that, would that be helpful to you? So just wanting to know if you guys, is that cool? And do you guys want to know that? I think someone's saying yes. Please, I want to know. And someone here is saying that my best content ideas come to me in the shower. Yeah, they often do. And that's often because we're relaxed, and you're just allowing water to flow. And somehow, me too, that information just comes to you when you're in the shower. So, make sure that you take note of those and you go away and you add them to your content library. Okay, so let's talk about the problems. So here's some of the problems that people face straight up. So like I said, they don't know what to talk about. But then when they do, and we start, if you don't use the process that I'm going to talk to you about today, or a process similar, you may find yourself talking, but it's not hitting the audience that you want to speak to. So you may be speaking and it's attracting a certain type of person, but it's not necessarily going to help you turn those viewers into a customer down the track. And so what I'm talking about today is very much about that. So it's about creating content with purpose, creating good content, valuable content that is going to enable you to grow your business down the track. That is the crux of what we're talking about today. So it's not just talking for the sake of it. It's talking it's speaking and sharing your information with a purpose. And the purpose is that you're able to obviously impact more people, amplify your message, and then also, grow your business at the same time. So problem number one is the risk is that you're going to create content that's not going to hit the mark. Also, that your content creation will become really time consuming. And when that happens, it's like, man, I'm out. A lot of people will go, this is just too hard. It takes me way too long. I can't do this anymore. And they check out and they stop creating their content. And I don't want that to be you. The other is that they have no purpose or a planned outcome, like a desired outcome that we're looking for. So when you're creating your content, you're always thinking about that. Like, what is the action that I actually want my people to take? What message am I sharing, and what can I get them to actually do that will implement this content? The thing that I've noticed is that over the last few years, we've very much gone from I want lots and lots of information. I just want info, to now the information and the content that you share needs to be transformational. People are looking for information that transforms. That's quite a big difference compared to just sharing information for the sake of information. And I've been in programs like that where it's can be really overwhelming. So sometimes don't feel like you've got to create 365 different pieces of content. I'm going to say that sometimes less is more. Sometimes that is the way to go, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. So we don't want this to feel really hard. So where the heck do you start? Well, the first thing, the place that I always start is I'm thinking about what is it that I'm doing? What is my long-term business plan? What am I trying to create? And then with that particular business, what are the core messages that exist with that business? And what I come up with this thing called the 5 pillars. So I usually start with, 3 to 5 is a good place to start. So if you think about the Unlock show, think about the content that I share on here. Well, the pillars that I'm sharing here are business, family, and life. So I've started there, right at the top. The audience that I want to help is help people unlock the inner genius inside them. And I know that it's not just one dimensional. I know that to unlock the inner genius inside of you is not just about unlocking it in one realm, so to speak, in the business space. You need to unlock it in all of those different areas, business, also with your family and your life. And when you do that, you enable yourself to be all of you in all of those areas. So that is the message that I have, that sits well with me, that I want to share with the rest of the world. So that's step number 1. That is what you need to do, is what is my message? What is the thing that I'm passionate about? What is it that I want to share? And then you're going to think about, well, what are the 3 to 5 high-level categories that I'm going to speak on. So like I said, mine are business, family, and life. And that gives me actually a huge amount of scope. With what you're doing, I'm very broad. You don't need to be that. So for example, if you were just somebody who was teaching somebody how to have abundance in their life, let's just use that, because I'm looking at something here and it's inspired me to use that as an example. So abundance in your life. So you would be talking about like, what is abundance? Then how do I apply that to my life? Is it that I need to have, meditation? Is it the way that is it my mindset? Is it the way that I'm being? So you can look at like one core topic, and then you want to kind of like expand on that into 3 to 5 different categories. So that's the first step that you need to do, 3 to 5 high level points. This is really important, because the thing that you want to make sure is that the 3 to 5 high level points that you start with are actually points that your audience are interested in. So start there. If you get that wrong in the first instance, you're probably going to end up on some, crazy tangent. And like I've said in other episodes, it's about really listening and really watching the market, like doing some research is paramount with all of this. So researching, getting in groups, listening and watching what's going on in them. And like, just when you're out and about and people are asking you questions, you're kind of taking note of the questions that people are asking you, and what do people see you as the expert in? That's a really good place to start too. Okay, so your 3 to 5 high level topics. Once you've got those 3 to 5 high level topics, then I start to expand out. So 3 to 5, and then within those, I'm thinking about, well, what are the questions that people might be asking me, or what are the topics that I could speak on? In the document that I'm going to give you this afternoon, there's going to be some space that you can kind of jot these ideas down. But the other couple of great tools that I would certainly use for this, start with a simple Excel spreadsheet. Top level, just write down the 3 to 5 high level topics you're going to speak on. And then underneath of those in your columns, that's where you're going to start to expand on. Like if I'm going to talk about business, what are some of the questions that people would ask me? What are the nice to knows? What are the things the pitfalls that people would, stumble across? What are the, what are the messages that I want to get out? So first is, I would just start with a simple spreadsheet. If you want to get a little bit more sophisticated, you can use tools like Monday.com or Trello. They are great tools to use. This process that I use when I do it like once, we do it, once a year, I kind of come up with a bunch of topics. That becomes like my backup, because I'm going to tell you that it's not about like planning all of these out on one day and then going, that is the plan and I'm not going to deviate from that. That I find that is my backup. That is my safety net. And I then allow myself to talk about whatever feels right in the moment. So when I'm getting like stuck on what should I talk about? What topic would be good as a conversation starter this week? I'll go back to this master document that I'm teaching you guys how to create now. And I look at that, and that provides me with some inspiration. So it's that, as well as being, mindful and listening and watching what's going on, so that I can also talk about topical content or things that people have asked me at that particular time. So high level, then start to really expand out on each of those. And you want to think about like, what are the questions people would ask me? So I call this the brain dump. So I'm going to give you an example here. So if you were a coach or you were a consultant, you might talk about like the 5 keys to running a business. So it might be, you might be talking about systems, marketing, business management, leadership. You might have those as your high level topics. Then underneath those, you're going to expand those out in even more detail. Somebody else is saying too, like I've even gone with something really, really basic, which is a whiteboard and post-it notes. So you do not have to have any fancy, sophisticated system to make this work. It's just get the ideas out, create yourself a master list, and that way you will always feel confident that you've got something to talk about. And like I said, I don't always stick to that plan. I have it, but I often will deviate from it, because in the moment, I'm feeling like talking about this. And that piece there is super important, because when you can talk about something that is relevant and you're feeling it in that moment, the message will come across in that manner, instead of it feeling very robotic and you're just doing it because you plan to talk about XYZ on that day, but you're not feeling attached to that content at that point in time. So that's a really important piece that I wanted to make sure that I got across today, because that makes a big difference. So like I said, if you're a coach or consultant, you might come up with those topics, and then you might expand on them, and you might say, well, actually, what I'm going to talk about as far as marketing is I want to talk about social media. I'm going to talk about your online presence. I'm going to talk about, the different types of marketing that you can do, the difference between marketing and advertising, so you can start to really expand and get a little bit deeper on each of those topics. So if you think about, you having, 5 topics, if you put 20 things under each of them, all of a sudden you've got 100 pieces of content that you want to share. And importantly, depending on how frequently you are going to publish. So if you were doing something that was twice a week, you would only need 104 pieces of content. So 5 high-level pieces of high-level information with 20 subtopics underneath them. That is your entire content done for a whole year, because you're posting or you're sharing your message twice a week. If you're somebody who posts and shares something every single day, then you're going to need to have more of those. So just think about, the frequency that you are going to be posting, and then how many of those you need to have. I have a complete process on how to do all of this, and even how to take a show like this, like how to prepare for a show, how to come up with all of your topics, and then how to create every single piece of social media, blog, your podcast, and everything coming out of your show. So I'll actually have a program that's coming out in the near future that will actually teach you guys how to do that. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. I'll probably no doubt I will talk about that on another show, and actually tell you guys when that program is actually available and open for registrations. But for now, this is a simple process that should not take you long, and I should be seeing you guys all out there starting to publish your stuff. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, like I said, you're going to do the brain dump. You're going to get all of these content ideas out. I've told you how to create your content calendar, which does not need to be doesn't need to be sophisticated by any stretch of the imagination. And then I'm going to give you some ideas, if you're stuck for different things. So the sorts of things that you could create are things like quizzes. So quizzes are great. They're awesome for lead generation too. So if you go to my Tracy M. Wilson website, you'll actually see that I've got some quizzes like in threaded throughout my website. They are great because they really help people get an answer to whatever it is that the quiz is, promising to answer. But secondly, from a lead generation point of view, they're brilliant for that, because they, people want them. And then when they go to get the further information, I give them, a short detail. And then if they want a much more detailed information, then they need to enter their name and email address to be able to get that. So quizzes are great. Also explainers, so guides, case studies. You could also be the contrarian. Why you're answering questions as to why are things such a way. So actually opening up the gates from that perspective. Lessons learned, how-tos. And you want to make sure that you have a nice spread of different things. So you don't always want to be doing how to. You want to have a nice spread of different things that you are going to be speaking about. And a lot of what you want to speak about, like I said before, is about that transformation. It's shifting someone's perspective. It's shifting the way that they think, because then when you make that shift for them, they are likely to do something different. That's what's going to give them the motivation and the inspiration to try something new. That's where we get, where change happens. And then obviously also things like Q&As, etc., etc. But I've got a bunch of things that you can, of ideas for you that are going to be listed inside of the how to plan your content in 60 minutes document that I'm going to give you inside of the file section of the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life. Then you want to think about distribution. Okay, so now that you've come up with all of these things, like I said right at the beginning of this, is that the way in which I share my message is through my live show and my podcast. You may not want to do that, although, I think it's the best way to do it. That's just is my opinion. And in another show, I'll tell you exactly why, because you get a lot of mileage out of doing a show like this. But if that's not your thing, you're not into doing something live, you don't want to appear on video, then of course you can do things like a blog, or writing books, or writing articles, or picking the different types of platforms that you could be on. So podcasts, so you can still get your message out there, hear people hearing your voice, but not necessarily being on camera. So there's there's a lot of different ways that you can get your message out there. It's about picking the right one that is good for you, that sits well with you, and sits well with that's going to enable you to reach your audience and enable them to engage with you. Engagement is huge. And then over time, as you get more and more confident, you may add different, mediums or different vehicles of getting your message out there into your repertoire. So just start with one, start out slowly, get something that is really comfortable with you, and then add to it as you go. And like I said, when later on down the track, I'll share with you like our what we call the omni content formula. It's how you create one thing that then enables you to create everything else, which really does cut down on the amount of time that you spend creating all of your content and getting your information out to your audience. So if that's something that interests you, you want to keep watching these shows, because this is the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you. So I want to just recap, because this is really, the point of today is to get you guys out there and to start sharing your message. I believe that by opening the gates for you, unlocking your inner genius, and giving you some tools and resources to be able to share your message, you are going to be able to change the world. And together, if we do that, and only imagine how much good we can do in the world. So, that's what I want to empower you guys to do. Use your voice. I want you to stand up. I want you to stand firm with what you believe in. And I want you to find the medium that will enable you to share that message with your, with the world, and to attract the tribe that is supposed to be working with you. So that is the whole, that is what I'm about. And that is exactly what today is about. So I want to recap. So the first thing is getting clear on what your message is. Who are you? What am I going to stand for? What messages do I want to share? You're doing a bit of research. You're going to go and have a look and see what problems is your audience currently experiencing. How do you solve some of those problems for them? Then you're going to come up with your 3 to 5 pillars, okay? And those 3 to 5 pillars will enable you to create all of your content. And does your content need to be different every single time? No, it doesn't. You want it to come center back to those 3 to 5 pillars, because then your message will be consistent, and your audience, as we know, needs to hear something somewhere between 7 and 9 times before it sinks in. So don't feel like you have to keep creating something new and new and new and new. You don't. You can repeat the same thing over and over again. You're just going to come at it from different angles. So I want you to also take that on board. And then create your content. And then it is a matter of just get out there and do it. Be prepared that you're probably going to be bad. You may suck right at the beginning, and it's okay. You want to use your first few episodes, your first few blogs, your first few, pieces of content to find your feet, to get your confidence, to just start going. The more and more you do it, the better and better you will get. So what I want you to do today is just accept the fact that when you start out, if it's the first time you've ever done it, you're going to suck at it. And it's okay. It's, we're not trying to, get you from 0 to hero in one day. That's unrealistic, and it's not going to happen. What I want to do is enable you to find your voice and just get you going. And sure enough, over time, you are going to get really, really good at it when you get, you also get a bit of help and some guidance from some people that can help you, which is, guys like us, where you will watch our shows and pay attention to what's going on, because the stuff that we're doing in these is very much in alignment with the stuff that I certainly teach. I'm doing the things that I don't teach anything that I wouldn't do myself. So just watch really carefully. And if you watch long enough, you'll sort of start to see the patterns, and you'll start to see the things that I'm doing that you can implement yourself too. So I'm hoping that today's session, like that, what I want you guys to do is after the show, hopefully you've got some notes. By 5 p.m. this afternoon, Australian time, I will have the downloadable document ready and available for you inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life group in the file section. Go there, requires no opt-in. You just go grab it because it's our freebie and our gift to you. Go get that. Use that document to help you to start coming up with your content ideas. And then once you've done it, what I would love for you to do is come back into the Success Secrets group, tag me and tell me that you've done it, and that, the date that you're going to go live and what it is that you're going to do. What's the platform of choice for you? Is it going to be a blog? Is it going to be that you're going to do some Facebook Lives? Is it that you're going to start your podcast, a show? Whatever it is, let me know what it is, because I want to come and check you out. So that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's show. That's how you create 12 months worth of content ideas in just 60 minutes, and then you're going to go away and you're going to get it done. And if you need some help with it, of course, you need to sing out to me, and I'm happy to give you some pointers and some tips on how you can do that even better. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. You've been watching Tracy Wilson on the Unlocked Show, and today we talked about how to create 12 months worth of content ideas in just 60 minutes. Thanks for joining me. I will be back again on Friday, Australia time, which will be Thursday, America time. And I want to talk about something a little bit different on Friday. I've seen something in a post on Facebook today that's really got me thinking. So we're going to take a little bit of a turn. We're going to talk more about life and family, but a really interesting topic that I actually want to have a discussion with you guys about. But hang about. We'll do that on Friday. And of course, I'm back every Wednesday and every Friday for those of you in Australia and New Zealand. And I'm always online here inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life group, 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So look forward to it, guys. I'll see you again soon. Live your life unlocked, because really there is no other way. Have a great day. See you guys.